Happy Saturday. Special start time. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift, episode 207. That's 207 weeks in a row. I believe, if my math serves me correct, next week could be 4 years. No weeks off. Everywhere included. Weddings, traveling, birthdays, everything in between. Bringing on my partner in crime right now, Big Dave. Let's get this party started. Let us know how you guys are feeling on the chats and what you're most pumped about on this beautiful little Saturday. What do you love most about the show? What really resonates with you? We have two special guests on today, by the way. Not one, but two. There he is. Oh, thank God, Baruch Hashem.
208 would be 4 years exactly next week.
That's crazy, no?
Yeah, which is great because it's Miles' birthday
Really?
weekend. So yeah, he's 15.
Wow.
So we've been in this a great portion of his life.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. 4 years. Talk about a commitment and consistency, Dave. You're rubbing off on me.
Yeah. Well,
that's the point.
Try doing something every day. Try doing something every day for 4 years. Then you're really on it.
Yeah. Where are you located?
Naples, Florida. So I got a 10-day speaking tour, Naples, Boca, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, South by Southwest, Austin, Nashville, New York, and Vegas.
Yeah? Okay. I'm going to bring on our first guest right now. Before I bring on our first guest, what are you most pumped about right now?
I'd still say most pumped about, well, actually, it was Napoleon Hill Institute and always will be, right? That's my legacy. But we are going to be finally opening our extra studio in Vegas at the Venetian Resort. So come see us on March 24th for our grand opening at the Venetian Resort. So we have the Win with SiriusXM, but I have another studio opening up at the Venetian Resorts. So come and see us.
Beautiful. And speaking of handsome, James, good morning, brother.
Very handsome.
How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
Where are you down there from? Where are you located this morning?
I'm in Medellin, Colombia, where I live with my my wife and daughter.
Wow.
Beautiful. So many places we can take this conversation. If our audience is just becoming familiar, my best suggestion is obviously play catch up, do a deep dive. One of the many things that you talk about that's awesome is this idea of removing alcohol from your life, from the equation, and so forth. Something that you said that really stuck out is that alcohol in general doesn't solve problems, it just delays them, right?
Yeah, and it also perpetuates the problems as well. And pretty soon we start drinking to relieve ourselves of the symptoms that drinking is actually creating. And we get stuck in this vicious perpetual cycle. So yeah, I haven't drunk alcohol since 2010. I wasn't an alcoholic. I wasn't waking up in a ditch. I didn't get a DUI. But I realized that almost 20 years of socially acceptable drinking had caught up with me. And at age 35 in 2010, I had two Bombay Sapphire gin and tonics. I woke up the next morning and I just felt really average. I wasn't sleeping great. I was, just blah, squandering my potential. Wasn't rock bottom, but it was just mediocre. And so I committed to stopping drinking for what I thought might be 30 days. And in 30 days, I lost 13 pounds. I got my dream job at the time, hosting a television show. I attracted a great romantic relationship. And I thought, well, this is pretty good. I might just see how far I can push this. And it's been 15 years and counting now. And in that time, I've created two successful businesses. And we have an organization now that helps people to have a better relationship with alcohol.
There's so many people that talk about being against alcohol, but the way you do it is very delicate and beautiful, and I want to acknowledge you for that. Dave, I'm sure something's come through for you.
Yeah, of course. I've had a similar experience. I didn't know what 100% was because I myself never got a DUI, never found myself in a ditch, but it caught up with me as well. And the idea of having a relationship with alcohol, because I will still have a drink like an ultra beer, 70 calories, but I actually take it even a step farther. I put some lime juice with ice and tahini around the rim, and I pour one beer all night into a glass of ice, and which brings up the point that the relationship's so difficult because alcohol socially has a different type of integrate. It's a social expectation that's different than other drugs, and it's more powerful than a lot of drugs. And it's the only drug that people will actually push onto you and make you feel guilty for not participating in. And so I believe that in number one, the number one takeaway is if you don't think alcohol is affecting you or interfering with your potential, you're dead wrong. So you decide there's plenty of things that will interfere with your potential. You just have to decide what type of relationship and what type of level you want it to interfere with your potential. And there's no doubt in my mind, James, why in a very short amount of time everything started going right because you cleared the interference between you and the all-knowing and all-powerful that's literally perfecting you. And you were perfected faster than a lot of people. It shows your potential, by the way. But the second side of it is beyond it's interfering with you, is that it's not just your relationship with it. It's understanding the people you surround yourself with and their relationship with it as well. Because my problem was not just my problem. My problem was I surrounded myself with a lot of people that had a problem. And that caused me even more problems. So I just wanted to point out that this relationship ideal, the relativity of alcohol in your life, is not just what you consume; it's who you surround yourself and what ideas those people have in relationship those people have to alcohol, because that can also create a significant amount of interference.
Yes, and if you're a parent, our children are watching us all the time. And even if we're having seemingly innocent glasses of wine or a beer each day, it might just be one. They're still observing, they're still watching, and they're going to mimic those behaviors as they get into their teens and adulthood themselves. And so we really, as parents, have a generational responsibility to stop or at least be conscious of our drinking habits and how that affects our family. What was interesting when I first told my friends that I was going alcohol free in the first couple of weeks, all the way back in 2010, my one of my friends tried to put vodka in my drink. He went to the bar to get around. I said, "Give me a soda water." He came back, and as I went to sip it, I noticed he had a guilty look on his face, and I said, "Did you put vodka in this?" And he kind of laughed, went, "Oh, yeah, I did." And I thought, wow, even my good friends don't approve of this alcohol-free choice that I'm making here, and that was surprising. Now, I didn't consciously cut my friends from that moment, but what I found was is that I started naturally gravitating towards people who either didn't drink or didn't need alcohol for that social connection. So within months, I was really creating or attracting a new set of friends who were at a higher vibration, who were more success oriented, who went deeper in conversations, who were more health conscious, who were into personal development and growth. And like I said, I didn't intentionally cut my friends away, but I just started attracting these other people into my life. I became like a magnet, and that's stayed with me for those 15 years now, and now my entire, well, let me say almost my entire social circle either drinks very modest amounts or not at all, and they're growth minded, they're business owners, they're entrepreneurs, they go to personal development workshops, they're conscious, and I just think it's a preferable way to live.
Beautiful. James, your book Clear, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the only neuroscience-based method that can help with this that's not relying solely on willpower or AA. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I support the mission of some of the traditional modalities of stopping drinking, like AA, for example. However, I'm well researched in this, and a lot of reported studies seem to suggest that AA's actual success rate is less than 10%. Now, that less than 10% success rate has helped millions of people all over the world, no question. But it also means that 9 out of 10 people who attempt it, it's been, let's call it, ineffective. And also, a lot of high achievers or growth minded folks, they have a lot of resistance about going to AA in the first place because it's very challenging to relate to someone maybe who is a 19-year-old meth addict who's holding up a gas station, or if you're someone who hasn't hit rock bottom with their drinking, maybe they're just a socially acceptable drinker, but they realize there are some negative consequences, it's going to be very challenging to relate to someone who's, saying, hello, my name's James and I'm an alcoholic, and all of these horrific things are happening. And so what we do with our method is we make this much more empowering. So for those people who might consider themselves gray area drinkers, where it's not bad enough to label themselves an alcoholic, but it's bad enough that it's causing themselves marital strain, and they're operating at a 6 out of 10, we have a very positive, like-minded community of other folks who are growth-minded and conscious, who want to make significant changes and live alcohol free, so they can go from a 6 or a 7 out of 10 in their business to a 9 out of 10. So they can lose 20 pounds of stubborn body weight, so they can sleep better, so they can feel connected with their wife or their husband, or be present with their children. And we do that using neuroscience. So a lot of positive psychology, where we're choosing an alcohol free lifestyle, as opposed to what I would submit probably you might experience in an AA meeting, which is having to be sober or having to surrender to a higher power. That can work for a lot of people, but the way that we do it is to support the gray area drinker with positive psychology.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed Chris in the comments mentioned outwitting the devil, and aligned with the 12 steps is this idea that only 2% of the people in the world aren't drifters. They have a definite purpose. And so regardless of the type of consistent, persistent behaviors that we are trying to encourage amongst the community to support us every single day, since I am a person who divides my day to non-negotiables and negotiable behaviors, I think there is a difference in what James is saying that allows us, my house is full of alcohol, but it's not drink, right? It's just not. It's, if I'm in a certain situation, I'll have my one Michelob Ultra on ice for all night. That's my relationship. But I think it's important that within the context of a genetic and an energetic inheritance, that alcoholism and the addiction to alcohol is different than having an alcohol problem. That's, some people have inherited genetic and energetic inheritance. And so some of the things that James has in his books are dealing with the genetic and energetic inheritance beyond what is necessary in behaviors to not be a drifter, which is mentioned in Outwitting the Devil, which, by the way, as chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, my favorite book probably in the world is Outwitting the Devil, because it gives you such great insight from 1937 on human nature. And I will tell you this, human nature never changes, and that's why people have difficult time with alcohol. Go ahead, look back throughout human nature, and this has been a problem for a very long time. So I just want to point out that these different modalities, different behavioral structures, there's a variety of different ways to deal with the conscious side of alcohol, the subconscious repetitive influence and addictive type of influence that our subconscious has. But there is a genetic and energetic inheritance that people have towards alcohol that needs a certain type of practice in order to effectuate activating through the epigenetic layer of our genetics, activating the right type of behaviors in order to not pass them on to the next generation. So I think your work, James, is a bridge, because it really deals in the conscious continuum better than any other book, including Outwitting the Devil, with this issue. So I applaud you, and I think it's much needed in a majority, especially I wish young people would read it, but you and I both know how much luck we have with young people reading.
Yeah, thank you. Generation Generation Z is increasingly turning their back on alcohol, which is interesting. The previous generations drank, very similar levels, and then suddenly Generation Z has come along, and the liquor and alcohol consumption has just plummeted to the extent that the liquor companies are scrambling to put out these 0% beers and 0% wines, and there's been a whole plethora of alcohol-free brands that have shown up. There really is a cultural shift happening right now. And I think it'll take 20, maybe 30 years, but I'm confident that we'll look back on alcohol with the same level of disdain that we currently do cigarettes. You might recall seeing, billboards in the 50s and 60s, or you might know of this, I should say, like where doctors were wearing their white doctor outfits and their lab coats, and they were smoking Camel cigarettes and saying Camel, the best cigarette for approved by doctors. And now, of course, we look back on that and we just go, what were we thinking? And my hypothesis is that in 20 to 30 years, we'll look back on our drinking habits now and go, what were we thinking? Because there's just so much increasing evidence now that even one seemingly innocent drink per day is enough to cause some level of brain damage and is enough to destroy our sleep, which leads to irritation and frustration and compromised performance. And, there are smiling assassins all over the world encouraging us to drink. And a smiling assassin is the waiter or the waitress who's saying, oh, hello, can I get you a drink? Can I get you started with the cocktail? It's your friends or colleagues or family who are trying to be very hospitable hosts. And they're saying, oh, can I get you a wine? Can I get you a beer? And they're smiling as they offer you this attractively packaged poison. And so, of course, we as a society in general just normalize drinking poison because everyone's smiling as they're doing so. But I think that is changing now, and we're waking up to the consequences of it. And we're now realizing that we can smile and have fun and be connected and be productive and celebrate without having to drink attractively packaged poison.
Beautiful.
Part of
Thank
it,
you,
Craig,
James.
just real quick, I know y'all bring, but I think it's important to know that part of that problem is that when you don't drink, it elevates the awareness of that to the person that does drink and they feel bad about themselves. And so there's actually a level of insulting them by not drinking that is inherent, or need to be offended that's inherent in that situation, whether it's a waitress or guest at your table. And I find it really interesting, that psychological level of making somebody else feel bad because you're not killing yourself. It's pretty interesting. So, James, we got to do more and amplify your content. More people need. I will say, I think CBD and THC also has an impact on Gen Z and their usage of alcohol, and that has its own problems. So, I hope we're not just replacing alcohol with another type of numbing, interfering substance. But go ahead, Craig. Sorry for interrupting.
James, real quick before we bring on a second guest, I just wanted to ask you, aside from the practical reasons which you just described, like waking up the next day and feeling average or not tapping into your own potential, is there something bigger that's also happening spiritually speaking by having the ability to restrict this particular gremlin or temptation that you have that might open up even more stuff than just not being tired and lazy the next day?
Well, it's the one big domino that if you knock it over, and by that I mean if you stop drinking or you conquer alcohol, it just knocks over all these other beautiful dominoes that open up health, wealth, love, happiness, spirituality. That was certainly my experience. So it wasn't that I just stopped drinking, it was that I now became open to a growth mindset. I started attending personal development conferences. I went to a Tony Robbins seminar, for example. I did landmark education. I started taking an interest in spirituality books. I started taking an interest in unique experiences. I did a 10-day silent meditation called Vipassana outside of Los Angeles. I stood in front of a room of 15 people and wept as I talked about my relationship with my parents. And I grew up in Australia and I would consider myself a pretty alpha male kind of guy who doesn't show emotions. And I was certainly raised, boys don't cry and boys don't show emotion, just stiff upper lip. But because I stopped drinking alcohol and I started going into these personal development programs, it really softened me a lot in a beautiful way. It made me more empathetic. It opened me up. It had me realize why I had been feeling envious of other people and jealous and irritable and frustrated. And then doing that work, I guess, has really created so many breakthroughs in my life. I have an incredibly connected relationship with my parents and my family. I exercise at least five, maybe sometimes six times a week. I focus on what I eat. I'm not a robot about it either. And I think a lot of people think, oh God, if I give up alcohol now, I'm going to have to be in the gym 7 days a week. And no, that's not the case. Like I just feel like I have the body that nature intended me to have. But most importantly, I think the phrase that really resonates with me is growth minded. And that means I'm open minded. That means I'm willing to read books and learn and not think that I know everything. And I think if you can knock over that one domino of alcohol, it will just open up so many other amazing modalities in your life that can only be good for you and your family.
Thank you, James, for hopping on today and for sharing all this beautiful wisdom. We appreciate it. We encourage everybody to grab the book as well. And I look forward to doing some more things with you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Great job.
All right, Dave. We're going to bring on our second guest. And then what time are you speaking this morning?
I'm not speaking this morning.
Oh.
So it's Saturday. Yeah, I'm Monday. I'll be here. There's a mastermind here that I might talk at with Sean and Lacey. They're doing a mastermind at their house. Victoria. There's not really a speech here today.
Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
How are you?
Well, other than the fact that I spilled my coffee pretty much all over the table like 2 minutes ago, I'm great. How are you guys?
Oh no. Okay. It's only positive from here on out.
That's the hope. This is my husband's office, so I'm not worried, but he might be a little bit upset when he wakes up.
Understood. Well, I'm super pumped for this conversation. I love your work, and you speak my language. So our audience is for such a treat today, and let's just kick it off right away. Kind of a big concept here, but I like the way you describe this stuff. What exactly is, or how would you define consciousness?
I would define consciousness as a state of awareness. That's how I would describe consciousness, because in this realm anyway, in this third dimension realm, we can exist in unconsciousness. We can exist conscious. We can tap different dimensions, and our state of awareness will change based on those dimensions. So my understanding of what does it mean to be in consciousness, it's to be in awareness. And the higher the dimension you have access to through your state of consciousness, the more awareness and perception you have access to.
Dave, great guest this morning or what?
Oh yeah. I've worked on this definition for years and have asked some of my thought leader friends to evaluate the clarity that people have in consciousness itself. And the best one that I've heard was with actually Sadhguru, who called it an infinite, abundant, unified system of thought. And that resonated with me. I thought it was a continuum itself. And I love that. It's an infinite, abundant, unified system of thought that allows us to remind, remember, and recollect the oneness of the consciousness. And so it is absolutely an awareness. And there's inherent within the idea of consciousness and awareness is interference. And one of the key paradigm shifts, no pun intended, to Craig's beautiful title of his show every week for almost 4 years, the paradigm is so many people don't realize alcohol is interfering with this recollection, this remembrance, this reminding of awareness. That's all awareness is. It's a reminding, recollection, and a remembrance of an omniscience, which is an all-knowing, all information, and all power, by the way. So if you're all-knowing and all-powerful, then you should be focused in on, through the understanding of consciousness, what you're aware of, what you're interfering with, and not trying to go get it like a library. I'm going to go get that book and read it. That's not the way it works. Within the context of those people who believe, like you and I, that there's actually an infinite, abundant, unified system of thought. And under that guise, I think you'll find great power and great information to elevate your awareness, which, by the way, awareness is the key skill set capability that allows us to be at ease. Because if you are more aware, you are aware of what the dis-ease is, and you can dissipate, dissolve that dis-ease and be at ease. And for me, forgiveness, I know Craig, I got him hooked on Course in Miracles and a little Kabbalah, is, forgiveness that is truly our ability not to respond or not to interfere. So a little bit of a deep thought today here at the end of our paradigm shift. This is cool. So thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm happy to.
And
Yeah, you're awesome.
Victoria, Dave mentioned the word there, interference, and I like how you say interference manipulates our consent. I think that's pretty cool and powerful. How do we prevent that?
So interestingly, I love that we've talked about interference, because interference is one of the, I believe, leading causes for people to not be able to pursue their organic blueprint or what they're came here to heal and restore and get on the path of. And so a lot of times in the spiritual community, people can misunderstand vibration for awareness. They raise their vibration to higher states. They raise their love consciousness. Then suddenly, beings or groups that are directly manipulating the consent of divine will cannot latch, attach, or create any sort of interference for people. In my experience in the work that I do, actually really untrue. The reason being is that, like a porch light on outside, if your lights are off, if your awareness is off, you're not attractive. But if your light is on and your visibility is on, then like a moth to a flame, become more attractive. And that doesn't necessarily come from awareness, or excuse me, from vibration, but from your awareness of who you truly are. So visibility, being mindful of how visible you are in the world, not to shrink yourself in any way, but just notice what happens when you get close to a breakthrough, or notice what happens right after a breakthrough. Different forms of interference that will come in and say, oh no, Craig, maybe you shouldn't do this, or oh, Craig, maybe this, maybe you should go back to the way it used to be, safer there, go make interference. No subtle psychological manipulation by your raising of your mission and your purpose and your impact.
Beautiful. The awareness of who you really are. I think that's beautiful.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at interference, you know, the root of fear in our reaction to fear. And so when we have those breakthroughs, it's an extremely fear-based opportunity or situation for human beings. And so when we do something new, inherently our egos say, wait, this is something to be aware of. Be careful, be cautious, be afraid. And we start interfering, not by the fear itself. I believe fear and struggle, pain, fear, and struggle are omnipresent. They're always there. It's understanding the reconciliation of man-made construct time, of how long am I going to stay in my reaction to that fear? Do I have a need to be offended, like we talked about with the alcohol thing before? Do I have a need to be right, separate, inferior, superior? Do I have to a need to be anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, worried, resentful? And these are the emotional bursts that actually create an interference, not just in a conscious, but in a chemical level. You know, I love the idea that an emotion is a 6-second burst of chemicals, right? And an emotion is a reaction to fear. It is a 6-second, but what most people don't understand, it takes about 90 to 180 seconds to dissipate the chemicals from us. And so what happens is, in the context of the infinite system, if we are afraid and react to it, which happens every time, we have an emotional burst, a 6-second chemical that's interfering with our ability to be aware. And if we don't stop, if we try to resist it, go over it, under it, through it, around it, lie to it, manipulate it, cheat it, or deny it, we'll keep bursting more 6 seconds. But what most people don't understand is not just the 6 seconds of the dose of cortisol, the dose of interference that occurs, but it's the 180 seconds each time for the 6 seconds of bursts. So that's why people stay in interference for days, weeks, months, and years, is because they can't. They're trying to resist, and they keep adding chemicals to themselves, interference at a literally biochemical level beyond the conscious level. And it makes it very difficult for the continuum, the infinite source, through conscious, subconscious, and unconscious, to be at ease. And it's not just this woo-woo idea. There's actually a human experience going on where we're given a body and we're here to learn lessons, and we're going to forget those lessons, but have the power to what? Remind, remember, and recollect those lessons within the consciousness. And it is the biochemical and bioanatomical interferences that make it even more difficult for us to utilize the conscious continuum to elevate our awareness so our light can shine. And as you suggest, as we liberate our own light, we liberate other people's lives, which attracts them into our mutual or reminded consciousness. Phenomenal idea.
Mm.
Yeah, nice thought there, Dave. The last nugget I would say as we land the plane is, Victoria, something you said I thought was really cool is faith comes first and trust comes second. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I like to use this example because a lot of times people in their awakening journey, somewhere along their life path, they lost that trust. Somewhere along the way, someone said, "Don't believe in that, you shouldn't," or that. And so they believed less. They trusted less. And so I like to say that faith comes first because you have to open your heart and believe in something greater than where you presently are. And when you have faith and then you see evidence of the fact that it works out, something happens in your body where you go, I can now trust this. I like to say, like, once you see that you're safe, then something shifts in your kind of your risk tolerance to be able to have faith again. But I think sometimes people can say, I trust the universe, where deep down they deeply don't. And what they really need is to say, I have something greater. I have faith that what is happening is for the highest, greatest good of my life. And then they take that courageous step and then they see evidence. Now their trust starts to be restored. I think that way allows people to kind of work with the sensation of surrender and courage, and then build trust back where it was when, you know, uninhibited children who had, you know, no film over consciousness.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is so on point, Craig, with the idea. At first, I tell people you need to believe in something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom. That you're
Totally.
protected, promoted, you're protected, promoted, loved, and perfected. But the relationship between faith and trust is absolute, and the reason is that it is a variant degree of how much faith you have according to how much trust you have in either the consciousness or the universe. And what I mean by that is it's not just needing evidence. Some people have faith so when there's no evidence, or what I practice in my faith is I have faith when the evidence is contrary to me getting to where I want to be or better. So I see the pain, the struggle, the setbacks, the failures, the mistakes, the defining moments, the historical relevances, and I can give it a meaning aligned with my divine direction by having faith that although there's no evidence, everyone thinks I'm absolutely nuts, or even worse, the evidence is contrary to where I think I want to be or better. I have faith. I have a commitment to God that I'm going to get there or better, and that God is going to protect me, promote me, love, and perfect me. And it doesn't have to be God, by the way. I'm just saying there's an omniscience, there's an all-knowing, there's an all-powerful, and I have faith in that the omniscient and all-powerful loves me, protects me, promotes me, and perfects me at all times. I'm just too stupid to understand it. So as I seek the wisdom to understand it, I have faith that I'm being protected, promoted, loved, and perfected by something that knows everything and has all the power in the world to get me there or better, because I don't know what I don't know. Sorry I went over, Craig. I know you got to go, so go run your marathons or love your life.
That's okay. Thank you so much, Victoria, for hopping on tonight. This was amazing. I know our community is going to want to go deeper with you in some capacity. What's the best place for them to stick around and stay in your movie and see what you're up to?
Amazing. Thank you, guys. Yeah, you can just find me through Instagram. So if you collaborate with this, you can find me through Instagram, and that's the best space to keep going. I loved this. Thank you for having
We
me.
love you. We love
Yeah.
you. You're amazing.
Thank you for
You're
the
amazing.
nuggets and the wisdom, and we look forward to doing some more things with you.
Sounds great. You guys enjoy your day.
And Dave, where are you going to be? Where can people catch you on the road?
Yeah, come and see me on 10-day tour. So I'm in Boca till Monday. Sorry, Naples till Monday, doing the Sean Deal Mastermind, and here in Naples. Then I'm in Miami. Oh, sorry, then Boca Raton. Come see me at the Rick Macy Tennis Center. We're doing the Phenom Maker with Serena Williams and Venus, and then down in Elevator Nights, the Influencer Party for Aspire on Miami, and $100 million Mastermind in Miami. then over to Fort Lauderdale for Aspire. I got Kim Perrell coming. We got Gary Vee, myself, Tim Story, and then we'll be going to Nashville, New York, and then to Vegas. So love to see everyone. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com, to join me.
Beautiful. Thank you guys for joining me today. Thank you for the collective consciousness, and hope you guys have an amazing weekend.
Yeah. You too, brother. God bless.
Bye, guys. Another powerful episode in the books, 207. Let us know what you guys are thinking about the evolution of the show. What do you love? What would you like to see more of? Feedback is key. And I'm getting ready. I have another 10 hours straight today of learning. I'm in training for something that's a big, big goal of mine for 2025. It's going to give me more tools to expand my vessel and try to be the best in the world at what I do, which is helping people facilitate their best version of themselves, tap into more of their potential. And I'm really pumped about this. Then tonight we're going to see Kevin Hart, which will be fun. And we have some big announcements coming up. Everyone always asks us when the next live event is. Mark your calendars, May 15th. If you'd like to know more, just text us at 917-634-3796. And definitely go check out both guests that we had on today. They were phenomenal. Thank you, Dave, as always. Have a great weekend, guys. Toodles for now.